Now let's talk a little bit about the 2-0 teams back up to the undefeateds. Out of that group, who do you see as being a team that's going to fall out of that winner's bracket, so to speak, the fastest? Who's going to, not be a contender in the postseason, who probably won't be there at the end, and, it's just going to be a matter of time?
I'd probably have to go with I don't know, it's probably the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They played Carolina, um, who Matt Moore. He's in the last two games, had 6 turnovers. And then they beat Cleveland. So I mean, I just don't see the Tampa Bay. Although I'm impressed with what they've done so far. I don't see them holding up for the rest of the season.
I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs, and not just because I'm a Broncos fan. I think the Chiefs have been playing good football. I definitely love what they're doing in the return game and at running back. They've got a lot of electric players. This is the problem that I see down the road. That wild card spot in the AFC, and I don't see the Chargers not winning the AFC West. So I got the Chargers winning the AFC West, and now that last wild card slot, there's just too many good teams that I don't think the Chiefs at the end, when it's all said and done, have enough talent to compete with. The Steelers, the Ravens, the Patriots, the Jets, the Dolphins, all these teams, the Texans or the Colts, depending on who wins in the South. There's just way too many talented teams, and I think you got to get almost to 11 wins this year probably to get into the postseason as a wild card, and I don't really see Kansas City doing it. They have a favorable schedule because their 09 results weren't that great, so they're probably not going to be facing the juggernauts week in and week out, but they still have a long road to go, and I just don't see them being there at the end. Now, let's talk a little bit about just an overview of everything. What do you think is the biggest reasons for teams that are jumping out to 2-0 and 0-2? I mean, what is it do you think is the most important thing? Is it just the schedule? Is it too early to tell how it's really going to play out? Is it turnovers? What is it to you that jumps out that says, okay, this is the trend and the reason these guys are winning or losing?
Well, I mean, if you take the Houston Texans for instance, some teams are destined to be great, and the teams sometimes turn things around. You look at the way the Texans have won. They've beaten the Colts, who they needed to beat, who they've lost to. I don't know how many times in a row, but they've lost to the Colts, and the Colts is a team that they keep getting in the way from that. They keep getting in the way from them getting into the playoffs every year. And then they go on the road and they play a tough Washington Redskins defense, come back, and they get a gutsy win in overtime. And those are the kind of wins that you want to see if you're going to be a championship contender. Sometimes it's luck, but sometimes it's a lot of heart too.
Yeah, and I think, like you say, some of these teams are starting to see their blueprint, if you will, that they put together maybe 2-3 years ago, starting to take shape now. The Bears had a little blueprint when they traded 2 first-round picks, went out and got Cutler, went out and got Peppers, kind of, putting a team together. And it takes some time. It takes a couple years to see it all come together, and Houston's had that blueprint for a while. They got their quarterback, they got their receiver. Arian Foster's just been a workhorse, dynamic running back for them, and he may be that missing piece for them to put them over the hump. For me, though, what I noticed, reviewing everything and looking through things, it's the turnover battle. Everybody except for Houston in the 2-0 teams is on the plus side of the turnover battle. The Steelers, with no Ben Roethlisberger, are the best in the league at +6 in the turnovers. The Saints are +4. Up and down the board in the 2-0s, they're all on the plus side of the turnover battle. Even the Bears, who last year were, interception city with Cutler, they're +2 in the turnover battle. And conversely, the 0-2 teams, they're all on the negative side. The Cowboys are -4 in turnovers. The Vikings are -3 in turnovers. The 49ers are -4 in turnovers. So I think it goes to show you that, this league, you can look at it on paper and say, okay, these guys are talented. They're going to beat this team that's not as talented. On the field, you got to protect the football. If you turn the football over, talent will only take you so far. If you give an NFL professional franchise an opportunity to score again or an opportunity to work with a short field, they're probably going to take advantage of it. You look at the Jets, for example, they're +5 in the turnovers, but they're 1-1 because of their penalties. The penalties have been the hidden yardage that have kind of killed them. They're tops in the league with 183 yards in penalties this year. So it's the little things that are the difference in a 2 or 3 point ball game, that third down offsides that keeps a drive going, or a red zone fumble. If you look at Denver versus Jacksonville, for example, week 1, Buckhalter inside the 20 coughs it up. Next thing you know, Lawrence Maroney's coming over from, New England. Coaches look at that and say, hey, we can't have it. So, if you look at those things, turnovers are very important. The penalties are very important. And, I think it's just very critical to take control of the ball. And I think the teams that have done that well find themselves unbeaten, and the teams that have done it poorly find themselves winless. So, with that, we're going to wrap this session up. We look forward to seeing you guys again in the coming weeks and get back talking some more football and see how everything unfolds. I'm Steve O'Reilly, and that's Gail Saunders, and this is Skinnypost.com. We're giving you the skinny 24/7.